We started back in 2009, 2010, and that's the core of our business was fittings. That's where it all started. And obviously we've expanded into different service levels now, but the core of our business still remains fittings. Well, we supply to different markets, like your cross-country guys, your drifting guys, the aviation market, and I would say our biggest support group would be the drag scene in South Africa, and that's got a spin-off which leads to your guys that does restoration work, so you're more your classic guy as well, and then basically your DIY. The fittings was renowned for ease of use, and it started. If you study the history, it started in the Second World War. That's where it came from, and it needed a certain standard because of the Allied contingent fighting over in the UK. If you had American Navy, you had the Dutch Navy, you had the Belgian Navy, and all of them used different measurements of standard. Now, for instance, American tank or American jet had an issue, but the UK parts or the Belgian parts or the Dutch parts weren't compatible, so they needed to invent a measuring standard, and that's where the AN fitting basically was born. Now, and that immediately carried over through to the automotive side, and basically it came into the performance side of stuff, and it actually helps with the performance side on the vehicle, whether it's fueling or oil or brakes, but it also adds an aesthetic value to your vehicle, whether you're building it for a showpiece or a drag piece or a track vehicle. It's relatively not self-explanatory, but you can use it for different applications, whether you're a DIY enthusiast or a serious drag racer. An added benefit to that is if a customer is unsure, we've got the lift, and we do offer the plumbing on site. And as we'll see now on the vehicle that we have here, plumbing can be an issue for guys that doesn't have the technical savvy and which want to make the vehicle look good as well. We would like to highlight that FTF isn't just fittings. We've got different departments that we would like to show you today.
Did you make that?
Yeah, we did a profiling on the tank, and it has been sent back to Brett from TPS Welding just to weld it for us. But we profiled the tank here. I did the turbo water already. Coolant for the turbo has already been done. So when I do that, I need to do the oil system still. Then it's your CO2 for your wastegate. I must still do that part. But now I'm just busy sorting out a fuel setup.
Maybe just to explain some of the challenges customers will face when it comes to the plumbing side of a vehicle is that you can see here is that the angles doesn't always line up. And that brings a challenge to the customer in terms of if he's unsure, and then customers needs to drive up and down and then get frustrated. Whereas the benefit that we have by having the car lift and being knowledgeable on the fittings and being technical savvy is that we can, if the customer brings in the vehicle, we can establish quite quickly and say, listen here, this is going to be an issue, this is going to be an issue, and then assist the customer from there, either by him leaving his vehicle and we do the plumbing for him, or by giving him advice and routing and say, listen here, your angle is going to be best here, your angle is going to be best there. And so that's the two different services that we offer, either doing plumbing on site or the customer bringing in his vehicle for evaluation, and then we assist him from there. Okay, basically what happens is a customer will bring in a spare part that he needs to be cleaned for a custom restoration job. So in this instance, they brought in the valve covers, and it looked like this painted in red. And the customer obviously has something in mind that he wants to do in future with the covers. And we we applied some paint strip. The paint strip that we use is a non-aggressive base paint strip that only removes the paint and not the chemical value of the material. After it's been through the process where we apply the paint strip, it goes into the vapor blaster where we blast the product or the item. So this is basically your tray where you put your gearbox or your intake manifold on, or your tappet cover. And as you can see, this is what the aluminium oxide looks like, and it's everywhere. It's a very fine grid that we make use of. Now it makes use of it recycles the water, and the pump is down there, and the water gets recycled. And this is we can show you here. This is where the magic actually happens. Where the water and the pressure and the media comes together.
Yeah.
And this basically is the hose for cleaning afterwards. Some of the markings, the punishment the product took, or the item took over the years, and then it highlights. But basically what happens is it gives you a clean product which then you can fit into your restoration project.
This is like done in like half an hour.
Yeah, this was basically 10 minutes yesterday, a bit, and 10 minutes today. So yeah, to demonstrate, to put it together, a piece like this from year to year will take you half an hour to blast.
Yeah.
The preparation takes a bit longer, depending on what quality the product is when it comes in.
So it's totally different to sandblasting.
Yes, it is. It's a wet process. It's also known as wet blasting, something the consumer or the customer will relate to a bit better. Is wet blasting. It makes use of a wet process, water-based, under high pressure, and we add a bit of aluminium oxide to give it the factory look when it comes out. The preparation time will take longer than the blasting, but blasting we typically charge 275 Rand for the first half hour, and every half an hour after that is 200 Rand. So you can work about on 475 per hour, but obviously, yeah, we won't charge for half an hour if it's only 10 minutes. Tappet cover will cost about, let's say, 275. That's an half an hour.
So for the guys in the performance game that want to neaten up the engine base, intake manifolds,
manifolds, yes.
Covers, gearboxes?
Yeah, gearboxes we can do. We actually would like to say that we specialize in gearbox, because we have done a couple and the results actually spoke for itself. We've got a lot of customers that's very satisfied, and customers returning because they said it helps them with the assembly afterwards, and it gives them a show car, a showpiece vehicle at the end of the day which they can take pride in. FTF offers a full design facility where we make use of a 3D handheld scanner. The customer will basically come in with a flange, or he will come in with a manifold, and it doesn't necessarily have the dimensions. So what we'll do is we'll take the specific item, we'll scan it, and that will then be populated into our design software, whereby we will design and extract the information that's needed. From there we will create the item in the designing software, And from there, the DCX file will be transferred to the plasma machine where the necessary calculations will be done and be plotted out onto the required material the customer needs for either his intake flange, exhaust flange, those type of things. Where the designing facility comes in quite handy is a lot of customers has the need for a custom-made tank, and that's not always available from the shelf. So what we'll do is we'll design the tank, whether it be a fuel cell or catch can. We will design it on our design software, and from there again the file will be transferred to the plasma machine. It will be cut out. As the tank that was showcased, it's manufactured from 3mm aluminium, and from there, after everything has been cut, it will go to our manufacturing department or fabrication department where the fabrication will start. We've got a qualified coated welder which specializes in aluminium welding.
Happy?
Yeah. I'm happy. You can come and have a look.
Our online customers, which we will go to our website, and those are the customer that would either be inquisitive as to what the fittings can offer. It's not necessarily a customer that knows what he wants, but he has seen the fittings and he wants to use it either for performance or, like we mentioned earlier, the aesthetic value that it adds to your build. But for the customer that's unsure, there's different fittings, different hose for different applications. So for instance, your oil hose will differ from your fuel hose, and your fuel fitting will differ from your oil fitting. And then again, your fuel fitting will be categorized in different segments as well because of the different fuels that's available on the market, your race fuel, your alcohol-based fuel types, or just your normal pump fuel. And there's different fitting and hose applications for that as well. Then again, you get customers that's budget conscious, and then the customer that wants to go full out and say, listen, this is what I want, this is what I need, and this is, I don't have a budget. So we've got the different applications for that as well. So for the budget conscious, but that doesn't necessarily mean you have to budge on quality of either the hose or the fitting at the end of the day.
With the fittings, we cater for different markets. With the fittings, we cater for the high-end professional international race teams, but also for the budget-conscious day-to-day builders. And I think that's basically the essence of our business plan. Not everyone's got the financial backing to follow their passion or a career in racing. And that was from the start the objective, to make a product available for everyone and not for just a few.